All right, I'd like to welcome everybody to our webinar. Today is the 14th of April, and I'd like to welcome all the people we've got on today. We've got a large group. This is exciting, and thank you for being here. We are recording this. We'll be having it on our website probably either today or first thing on Monday. So if you missed anything or need a refresher, it'll be on our website like they all are. We're excited today. We've had once again a little adjustment to the schedule. We had the person that was supposed to be presenting today, that their brother passed away last week and was not quite ready for this. I think the funeral was actually this week. And then the presenter for next week is her mother passed away just in the last day or two. So unfortunate timing of a few things here. So we'll keep you posted of what next week's. Most likely next week's will be the one that was for this week, which is understanding business cash flow and financing options. And so we'll kind of just push things down a week, hopefully. But we're excited. One of the main topics that we have people request us for information and want to have on our webinars is about marketing, and every business out there needs marketing. Now we've got one of the gurus of our state that actually a few weeks ago enlightened us on Google, how to get found on Google. But our Miss Kim Labrum from Boise Market of the SBDC, we are so happy that she stepped up and took the opportunity. Hers was supposed to be on May 5th, but she was ready, and we've got her. So we're doing her presentation today on the marketing demystified. So thank you, Kim, for being prepared, and we will turn the time over to you. If anyone has questions, please put them in the chat box or write them down. We will have save a couple minutes at the end for some question and answers. So with that minor introduction, Kim, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everyone. Jumping in with a class that we developed here in Boise. I'm giving you a really abridged version of this class. It's usually 2 hours, so I'm going to go through some kind of the bird's eye view of this. If you're so inclined and you want more, then let us know, and we'll figure out a way to make that happen. But come on, computer. There we go. So the things that we're going to talk about today is the marketing mix, online marketing, and branding. I'm just going to run through those. The first thing we want to talk about is what is marketing. So marketing is everything a company does to acquire customers and maintain a relationship with them. So when I say everything that they do, I mean seriously everything. Down to, when you have a brick and mortar location, it's what the outside looks like. Is the walk swept? Do you have flowers in the planter? Do your employees smile when people walk in the door? Your online presence, do you have a good website? Can it be found? Is it a good user interface? So all of these things are about the relationship that you're building with your customer. It's not just about when they hand you the cash and you hand over the service or the widget. So keep that in mind, is that this is everything and anything that is a perception about your business. Okay, so we start with the marketing mix. Some of you may have heard of the marketing mix. That's pretty commonly called the 4 Ps. And it's putting the right product in the right place at the right time at the right price, right? So we've all kind of seen this in action, and we probably haven't looked at whether or not it's how it happens, and it's very deliberate when it works. And you as a business owner cannot ignore any one of the Ps. So is there a correct set order? No. Price, product, place, promotion. It depends on your needs and what you're offering. So one is not more critical than the other. However, it depends on your business. Sometimes price is far more sensitive in a business that has a lot of competitions and a lot of competitors in the market. If you are the only game in town and kind of in a monopoly situation, price isn't necessarily your driving factor. It might be place. So you have to consider all of these things, or else you're just not going to be as successful as you could be. Okay. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about is product. And even though there is no set order, I do think that you kind of do have to have a product before you can set a price, right? So maybe there is a little bit of a set order. And this is what most business owners spend the most time on. Understandably, this is where where they live, their bread and butter. So I'm not going to read all of these things to you, but I'm just kind of give you an overview, and you will get a copy of these slides afterwards. So the thing that you really want to consider when you're developing a product or a service, or you're changing your current product or service, is what is it that your customer wants, really? And what problem are you solving for them that's going to make them say, oh my gosh, I need your widget beyond all the widgets that ever widgeted, right? So we really need to consider your customers in this mix. You never want to make something that's, if you make the all blue widget and everybody out there hates blue, for instance, and they would have bought it in red if you had made that, but you didn't do your research, you didn't know your market. So that's one of the things. What needs are you making? And just because you think there's a need in the market doesn't necessarily mean that there is. Okay. What features do your product and service need? So if you're offering something, you sell a widget, but you only sell it out of your store, but you're missing out on the fact that you could be selling 1 million widgets on Amazon. That's not considering meeting your customers' needs. Okay. And also, did you add something costly to it that the customers won't honestly use? So, the software development comes up a lot with this. They all of a sudden, they're like, I have this thing that will schedule your calendar and also, take care of your children, or I don't know, whatever. And all of a sudden it's like, well, I didn't really want you to schedule my calendar for me. That's not something that I use. I've got something else that takes care of that. I got your product for this. And so you need to carefully consider whether or not the extras that you add are really truly adding value, and whether or not people are going to pay for those extra features. Considering how your customer uses it and where. How does it look? If it's an actual physical, tangible item, is it aesthetically pleasing to your core demographic? How do your customers experience it? Okay. Sizes, colors, so on, whatever. What is it called? How's it branded? How is it differentiated versus your competitors? This is huge. You need to make sure that you can make sure that it's different enough that it will set you apart from the competitors. So if you're just going to go out and make the same widget that three other people are making, then there's really no point in you being in the market. You're not going to make any money. So it's what makes you unique that's going to make you successful. Okay. And what is the most it can cost to provide, right? So if you have high production costs and your competitors have low production costs because they've maximized their manufacturing, then there's no way you're going to be able to compete, and you're not going to be in business for very long. So what are the next, one of the P's is place or distribution. So what are the channels that your business offers its products or services, okay? So traditional storefronts, obviously, great. We're very used to them. We're very fond of them. But they come with added costs because rent, utilities, people to staff, that kind of thing. Website or some kind of online selling platform like Amazon, Bonanza, Etsy, whatever it is that you're making. Or is it literally direct sales? You're going up, you're meeting with them, you hand them the product, they hand you the money. So it makes a big difference on considering what channels to use and where the people who are buying your product are buying their stuff from. So, okay, I'm just going to kind of cost. You have to look at your costs on each one of these and add them into your overall cost and deciding on your pricing. I mean, you can undercut your pricing structure to a certain point, but if you're not making enough margin on your widget to cover the cost of your store rent, then you're not going to be in business for very long, right? Okay. So Salesforce, trade fairs, all of these things make sense if it depends on your industry. So are trade fairs still relevant? They are for a lot of industries, but they are being phased out in a lot of other industries, right? Catalogs, do some people still use catalogs? Yes, there are some industries that do. Not a lot of them, but there's a few. So door-to-door, or telemarketing salesmen, yes, they're still very much in use. Whether or not they're really effective depends on what you're selling. So these are questions that you have to answer. All right, so pricing. There's no silver bullet when it comes to pricing for small businesses, but the rule is if your price isn't covering your costs, you're not going to be around to price again. And if you're not making some kind of margin to be able to reinvest in the company and pay for things like salaries and, rent, other fixed costs that you have, you're probably not going to be around too long either. So, when I worked in retail, it was always cost plus, 40% or whatever, there was a specific formula. Each industry has pricing norms and you should know those and then decide, okay, do the pricing norms fit what I'm doing? And also, are those norms in play in the area that I'm in? So just because the pricing norms for everywhere in the country is just to double your cost, in Pocatello, Idaho, it might be triple the cost because nobody can get that stuff anywhere else, right? So be very aware of what's going on nationally and locally, okay? And also, and that has to do with your competitors too. So promotion, how are you going to find your customers' ears and eyes, right? What channels are they attuned to? And, there's no point in advertising on television to people who don't watch television, right? Or they don't listen to the radio or they don't use social media. So you have to use appropriate channels to talk to your potential clients. And I'll get into that here in just a moment. So these are some of the options, again, stuff I'm going to cover. Cost, this is where, making sure that your pricing nets you enough so that you can be able to afford promotion. So, okay. And like I said, I will give you these slides later, so I'm not going to read these. You can read them faster than I can talk. So, so the direct word of mouth, as far as these are promotional ways to talk to the typical marketing. So, in my mind, direct word of mouth is probably the most important and effective channel for most small businesses. Yes, you can go out and make a splash on social media. You can do television advertising, radio advertising, but it still is about 80% of people, they get their business from word of mouth and referrals. So make sure that you're keeping that in mind. How do you do that? Well, things like you do sales calls, drop-bys, you go to networking, leads groups, classes, or you hold classes or workshops to raise awareness of your company and your product. If you're in the KEEP, the referrals and the referral program, I think this is so important. If you already have a customer base and you're not rewarding them in some way for coming back and buying from you again, or referring new business to you, you're losing out. This is a great way to maintain this relationship that I mentioned earlier. You know, if I always feel great when I refer somebody to a small business and that small business owner sends me a thank you. Hey, so-and-so is now my client, thanks a lot. That's fantastic. If I refer somebody to my chiropractor, he actually gives me a little bump off of my bill. You know, whatever it is that you do, just make sure that you at the very least, thank them, send them a card in the mail. A stamp and a 50-cent card doesn't cost very much, but it means a lot. So, you know, birthdays and thank you cards, customer loyalty, punch cards, those kinds of things are invaluable to keeping and making sure that people are returning. And so next, growing. So what is it that you do that you can make sure that not only are you keeping them through referrals and customer loyalty and email marketing and all of these things, but can you cross-sell to other products or upsell to other products that you're offering? So, you know, you want to make sure, the main thing that I want to say here is that it is so much less expensive to keep a current customer than it is to go out and get a new one, okay? It is about, you know, it's 100% more expensive to do that, to go get a new client. So making sure that the ones that you have are happy and returning and spending money with you is time well spent. Okay, so now we're going to jump into online. This seems to be the most popular area that we talk about. It's where I get my bread and butter. People ask me these questions all the time, and they want to know all about these things. So my thought is first and foremost, you should have a website, and it should be the center of your universe. Websites are fairly inexpensive, they're easy to put up, and you don't have to have a lot of technical skill to do it. And there's any number of places out there like Wix or GoDaddy that it's almost automatic. So there's no reason why you shouldn't have a website. With that website, you know, just because you have the website doesn't mean that people are going to be able to find it. So there's a certain amount of search engine optimization or SEO that you're going to have to put into it. When you do SEO, there's tips and tricks, and you can pay somebody to do it, but there's a lot of stuff that you as a small business owner can do on your own, like making sure that you have enough text on your website for Google to be able to cache it and decide what kind of website you are. Making sure that your website is well organized and makes sense, that you have sensible backlinks to reputable and relevant partners. Blogs are very important to SEO. Basically, if it's words, it's going to be important to SEO in the search engines because they really, really like that. So two things that you can do very easily, very quickly, and it's free, is register your business with Google and Bing, and these links right here are how you do it. The Google My Business is there. It's just an option for you to be able to be listed. So if anybody Googles your business, it'll pop up on a sidebar with a map, pictures of your business, and the hours and your website. So it just grows your online presence for free. Bing has a similar service, and although Bing isn't as well used as Google, I want to make sure that you're in all the places that you can be, and especially if your demographics using Bing as their search engine rather than Google. Okay, this is a graphic that I put together talking about the social media universe with statistics. So this is the, talking about the place and promotion, is where are your eyes? Where are your customers' eyes? Okay, so chances are really good they're probably on Facebook, and you can set up a Facebook page for free and just let it hang out there. You don't even have to put any content out, and it will help you because Facebook is about the second largest search engine in the world behind Google, so having some kind of presence there is going to help people find you. Whether or not you're going to use it to try to convert people over to customers or not is going to be something that we'd have to have more of an in-depth conversation about. But in general, you know, Facebook is noisy, but everybody's there, so it might be worth it. So it's something to think about. Twitter, everybody knows about Twitter, but generally for small businesses, it's really hard to get any kind of traction. If you're a big brand, celebrity, a politician, that's kind of where Twitter lives. For small businesses, it's a little less useful. But again, there's always an exception to the rule, and if that's where your demographic's hanging out, then you should definitely start a Twitter presence. Instagram, Pinterest, same thing. You know, it depends on whether or not your customers are there. Are they already there, and you can leverage that use of the social media platform to bolster your business and try to bring people to your brand? Maybe. So it really depends. You have to have a strategy. The one thing that going around to YouTube, I would say that I think that you should have a YouTube channel and that you should have some kind of video presence. And the reason I say that is because Google owns YouTube, which means that YouTube and Facebook actually fight back and forth between being the second and the third largest search engines in the world. And it's why whenever you Google something, if there's a related video, it pops up in your search results, right? So putting out videos would be really, really smart to increase your online presence and brand awareness. They don't have to be long. They don't have to be complicated. They don't actually have to feature you. You could be doing a voiceover of a slideshow of pictures of your product. So it's that easy. The nice thing about video is that you can use it on your website, you can use it on your YouTube channel, you can put it on Facebook, you can put it on Twitter, you can put it on Instagram. You get what I'm saying, right? So if you're going to spend time on social media and you don't know what to do, pick YouTube. That's my advice. So continuing around the circle, Snapchat, if you're not marketing to teenagers and millennials, I wouldn't worry about it. LinkedIn, you should at least have a LinkedIn presence because Google caches LinkedIn. And so you should set up your personal page and list your business as the current place of work, because LinkedIn's like kind of like an online resume. So people are using it, but more importantly, it adds legitimacy because it enlarges your online presence to Google. If you like to write, or even if you don't like to write, blogging is really, really a fantastic way to start to establish your brand and yourself as an expert in the field. It allows you to talk about things that you might not have on your website, but are relevant to your industry, and it can bring people to your website. Email marketing goes back to the keeping your business, you know, keeping top of mind, talking to your current clients, making sure they don't forget about you, offering deals, offering, you know, a sneak peek at new technology that you're developing, so on and so forth. And then the Google My Business, I already mentioned, it's up there on the top. So, okay. Printed materials, what do you need? At very least, I think you need to have business cards just so that you can hand it out. I just ran into a young man the other day who is a social media marketer, and he wanted me to I hit him up on Facebook, and so I said, well, do you have a business card? He said, no. It's just this name, and it was some random name that I had to write down on a piece of paper that I had to scramble and go get. Because he thought that business cards were old school and not useful, and maybe they are to a point, but it also gives me something that I can tangibly take with me and remember to actually pay attention to these people. So it does make a difference. The rest of your printed materials, I don't know, trifold, flyers, posters, annual reports, signs. Again, it's going to depend on your business. If you are always in your car and driving around, then maybe a magnet or a car wrap is the best way to advertise your business. So if you have service people, they should all have logoed shirts, those kinds of things to keep in mind. All right, media. Media is one of those things that it's scary, but it's not. So we've already talked a little bit about internet, and you can purchase advertising on the internet through like Google AdSense or Facebook advertising or any number of ways to get out there. So if you choose to do that, and this I'm going to reiterate, where are your eyes? So if your eyes aren't online, don't purchase online advertising. Okay. Newspapers, are they still relevant? I haven't read a newspaper in, I don't know, probably 10 years, but that's me. I'm probably not your target demographic. If your target demographic is still getting up every morning and reading the newspaper, then a newspaper ad would be a really good thing to look at, right? Radio advertising actually is starting to make a comeback, which I was really, really surprised about. I figured with Sirius Radio and iPods and all of the options that we have to not listen to the radio and advertising, that it was going to go the way of the dodo bird. And there's been a surge of people listening to the radio again. So radio advertising is still potentially relevant. Just make sure that the station that you choose has the right listeners, right? If you're selling guns, then you want to find the radio station where the people who shoot guns are listening, right? And the same thing goes with television. Television can be very expensive, but it's really effective because most people have a television in their house. Okay. All right. So I touched on this at the very beginning, and I want to just circle back to it. So I've covered a lot of ground in the last 25 minutes, and I know it's just like surface skimming, but remember that branding is every single thing that you do, down to how clean your car is if your car is a company car, down to how you respond to reviews on Google. I mean, it is everything. If you have people in logoed shirts going out and they're rude to people, then that reflects on your company. So keep that in mind, that you're establishing a reputation with everything that you do. All right, so that was 27 minutes or so of marketing. What kind of questions do we have? So I see a chat that says, how do you recommend using social media to facilitate word of mouth? Well, it really is going to depend on your business. So for instance, if you have a coffee shop and you wanted to advertise a new drink, then it's a great opportunity to, you put the drink out there, start talking to your fan base and ask them to review it or talk about it. Instagram, something where if you're selling rock climbing adventures, trying to engage your audience by having them post pictures on Instagram of them during their rock climbing adventure. So that's the kind of thing. Also, crowdsourcing. When somebody asks, hey, I need a repairman, my dishwasher just broke, having a presence on social media so people can refer you to those folks is a really great thing. Does that answer your question, Robert? Okay, cool.
There's
all right.
Right above.
I'm sorry, Brian.
Right above that, does YouTube charge for a channel for your business?
No, it does not. It's free to set up. As a matter of fact, if you get on YouTube and you become a big enough sensation, you will get revenue from YouTube through the AdSense. So if you, it's an algorithm. So for like, if you have videos out there and there's lots of subscribers and lots of people viewing them, sometimes you get a penny a view or a couple of pennies a view. Could be a pretty significant amount of revenue through YouTube. So.
Okay, and then I had the question, let's see here, how difficult is it to set up a channel on YouTube? This is kind of a big aha moment. When you threw up that statistics that you had on there, that like 84% of people 13 to 17, and then, I mean, those numbers are amazing, and I guess I'm of that age that that I'm not a real big YouTuber, and so, but seeing those numbers that were between 13 and 17, and then the next category was like, I'm really missing the boat there with my business, not having a YouTube channel. So how difficult is it to set it up?
It's super easy. I mean, it's you generally need a Gmail account, although that'll just make it easier. But you set it up, and it walks you through uploading videos. And by the way, the wonderful thing about YouTube is you can literally Google or search on YouTube how to upload a video, and there's actually a video in YouTube that tells you all about it. Actually, there's tons of them. So, but I mean, setting up a channel on YouTube is just as easy as setting up a Facebook page. It's not hard at all. The thing that you have to keep in mind when you're putting your videos up is making sure that you're optimizing them. And that's making sure that there's keywords used, and making sure your description's there, the transcripts there, so that it can be found. So it's just a matter of making sure you fill in all the spots and forms.
So like I've done some live videos for Facebook and boosted the ads on my Facebook. Are those the type of ads that you can put onto YouTube? Is that, it wouldn't hurt to put them on YouTube as well?
If it was a Facebook Live, I'm not aware that you can download that as a separate video.
Okay, all right.
Because Facebook and YouTube are rivals, and so if you had videoed that separately and put it up on YouTube and then uploaded it on Facebook, then yes, there's that double action. But the Facebook live streaming, I don't think that you can download it as a separate standalone file.
That's legit, so good.
Now, I might be wrong about that. I'm willing to admit ignorance. I haven't tried it, but that's my initial thought.
Yeah, and I didn't know that Google owned YouTube, so that's even a big foobar on my side, so that's interesting.
Yeah. Facebook also owns Instagram too, by the way.
Yeah. Well, great. Is there any other questions? Let's see if there's anything else that's come in. When does Facebook charge a business?
At the end of the month of the billing cycle.
Yep, that's and it's only if you boost your ads and do things like that. So does it charge?
Right, yeah. So, and they will charge you, like, for instance, I do campaigns and I set a limit of $5 a day, $10 a day, whatever it is, and a time limit of how long I'm going to run that ad. So I keep a pretty good eye on that, and so that I say, okay, usually what I do is I have a budget of $200, and if I'm going to run an ad for about 2 weeks, that's about $11 a day. And when it hits, enough people have seen it in their feed that it reaches the $11, then Facebook stops delivering it out to people's feed, and that's great. And then at the end of the month, usually about the 28th, I get a notification that Facebook has billed my credit card for this amount for the month.
Yes. Is it easy to accidentally get charged? You pretty well have to set it up and agree to the setup on most things. You should, Yeah, I don't think there's an accidentally. You have to pretty well agree to set the budgets and everything that's going to happen. So I don't think that you can accidentally get charged by Facebook, can you?
You wouldn't accidentally get charged, but I think there's opportunity for being charged because you just didn't realize what you were agreeing to.
Yeah.
So for instance, I put an ad out for a training that I was going to be doing, and it was supposed to end in 2 weeks, and I didn't set a limit, and so it just kept delivering for another week and a half beyond that before I went in and checked and went, oops. So I overspent my budget on that particular item because I didn't put the dates in. So that was a mistake on my part. So yes, you can't, it was an accident on my part, and I knew better. I just missed it.
Yeah, and I had one that I boosted, but I picked the wrong audience, and it wasn't going out to that many people, and so I went in and created a new one, but then the other one kept going, and so it was, once again, it was an error on my part. I thought that I had canceled the first one, but it really didn't cancel. It kept going, so I went over budget there a little bit, but it was my own error. That's something I had done wrong, obviously, and didn't fully cancel it. So.
Yeah, so it's things like that, and you know what I would do as far as that goes is keep your budget pretty small to begin with, because you're going to make those kinds of mistakes, and it's going to be up to you whether or not they're like super costly or not. If you say that you have a $3,000 spending limit and you say spend, you know, $10 a day from now until doomsday, then yeah, it's going to be a pretty expensive error.
Yeah.
But if you limit it to $5 a day and your cap is, you know, a couple $100 total, then you limit your learning curve, I guess, is what it is.
Yep.
My learning curve, I will say that I think that the learning curve for Facebook advertising feels a little steep. I've made mistakes on there that I thought, God, I'm kind of dumb, you know, and I think I'm a pretty sharp person when it comes to this stuff, and then I'll go back and look at some of the things I've done and went, wow, that was just not smart. So I think it's pretty easy to make those mistakes. So, and it can seem pretty overwhelming as well. So I will admit I didn't do Facebook advertising for a long time because it just seemed really difficult until I finally just said, all right, I'm going to get in and do it. And so I did. And that's how I ended up doing it. And so far, right now, we're testing to see whether or not it's worth it. We will reevaluate probably at the end of Q2 this year and see where we were at compared to last year.
Yeah.
And go from there. So, and that's the other thing. When you're dealing with paying for marketing, you need to have measurable goals. So, and you need to know what it is that you're looking for and whether or not it's actually delivering. So, you know, I am going to very specifically know that the only thing that I've really changed up this year is that I am advertising this year as opposed to last year. So I know that if I look at the numbers from last year and the numbers from this year, that they should be pretty equal. And if they've gone up, then I know that Facebook advertising is working. If they go down, then probably Facebook advertising is not the best place for me to be.
Yeah. Good. Well, we had one of our faithful listeners that just jumped off a little bit early. He budgeted a half hour, but since we've had a lot of talk here at the end about the social media, that's what his business is all about. He's a tenant here at the Idaho Innovation Center. Is Robert Brady with Righteous Marketing, and he jumped off a little bit early, too early, because I wanted to plug him that if your business needs some help in the social media pay-per-click advertising, he's a great resource there. So, and he's pretty well faithful on every one of our webinars. So awesome, great questions. Sorry we went just a little bit over. We haven't gone over like this, but this is definitely hot information out there, and what every business I feel needs to have is this kind of information, because you can only benefit from this. So thank you so much, Kim. There is her phone number if you want to. I just learned that our website or our webinar from last week that I guess I left too early before it downloaded, but it will be, we'll have it up on the website with this one. It will be up there hopefully no later than Monday with last week's. So we've had some people that have been trying to get onto that, and I spaced that. I thought that we'd done it, and I missed that. So we will have that up there. Kim, thank you once again. You are a lifesaver. And if there's no other questions, if there is questions, please shoot us an email. We'd love to help you out. Great presentation, Kim. You're awesome. You sure know your stuff. And if you could send me this presentation, I'd appreciate it.
I will.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great week, and see you next week.